Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, November 7th, and just want to touch base with you. This is version 2.0. My dog seemed to have come and attacked me here a moment ago and wanted to become on the video. So anyway, some days there's not that much for me I just don't have an eventful day of my own. We all have days like that. Other days there's a lot that runs through my mind, and I want to share with you guys. Today's one of those days, so I'm just kind of giving you a forewarning that I'm probably going to have more than one video today. I might do them both this morning while the thoughts are fresh in my head, but I will, don't know if I'll publish them both at the same time. So, anyway, a few things to talk about today. First of all, the first thing I want to share with you guys is how proud I am, just as a citizen of our country, that we had the record turnout we had last night at the polls. From all you can see on the TV on the background here, as I sit in my living room, that it was a turnout of record numbers, and that shows me that the country is willing to point the thumb a little bit less and point the finger a little bit less and point the thumb a little bit more and take ownership in decisions and where we're at, instead of just sitting back idly and complaining about it. So kudos to America for that. So good job, guys. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. But a couple of other things that really struck me today I want to share with you guys. So I got two really different emails today. Not really different, but I thought they hit me differently. So, for those who have been following me on my journey, you know that there was certainly a spirituality about it, and it was important for me to get back with my children and expose them. And I did a video this past week about my experience, my first weekend back, and a lot of people have been reaching out. Well, I got I got a Facebook message this morning from a young lady, a woman. I never met her before, never spoke to her before. But what she said, Jim, my husband and I have been following you since day one. We're just, you haven't heard from us, we're just quiet followers. And, she went on to say, hey, I understand about the churches. Here's one I could recommend, and we seem to really identify with the pastor. You're welcome to go if you'd like. We're wishing you best of luck with that. And that one struck me because, again, it comes back to when I first started this journey, I didn't know what I was expecting. I guess I really was expecting what I said was just to walk across the country, come back to my home, be able to tell my kids, look, guys, here's Bob and Mary and Sue and John and Ralph, and those aren't all real names, but I met so many people, and here's the stories behind them, and grow old with them and let them grow old with their kids and their grandkids, and be able to say, hey, your grandpa did this, and really that was my main goal. And as I went, I did realize that there were people that were following me that were embracing the point of thumb message, and to hear from somebody that I hadn't heard at all throughout this time was really special. I mean, the walking part of it is over, and yet here I am hearing from somebody that's been following me, and that just really touched me. So thank you to Linda and Daryl, and I am going to continue with the churches. I'm not quitting because I had an experience that wasn't, didn't light me on fire kind of thing. And I got a second Facebook post from somebody who, unlike Linda, certainly wasn't silent throughout my journey, was one of my most avid supporters, friends, and probably the person that did the most in terms of going out of their way to open my eyes to things and share a part of their life and things they'd never experienced before. And that was Gary Gartrell, up out of my day out of Chicago. He had asked me a few questions, but I might ask, well, let's talk about Gary's questions now. There's a bunch of things I want to talk about, but as I said, I'll probably be doing two videos. But anyway, Gary said, Jim, I'm interested to see how you were received back home by family and friends, as was one of his questions. And and I could tell you that I'm a guy that when I talk about close friendship, I'm all in with a lot of things, and I go big. So friendship is something very valuable to me, and I have a lot of people I like, but that friendship thing, I have, I'm not one of these guys that has 50, 60, 80 friends. I don't have a lot of friends. Family-wise, my kids, Gary picked up on it, back home, and I swear to you, inside of like 15 minutes, it was like, Dad was never gone, and we just picked right up where we left off. Almost in a way, I'll be honest with you, not that I was expecting a big deal, but it was almost kind of disappointing that, the kids didn't ask as many questions as I thought they would have. Now, I know they knew I was tired and a little overwhelmed with getting back home, and I've been talking to them as I go. It's over a week now, a week yesterday, a week Monday would have been. But outside of that, I've had a lot of friends reach out, a lot of people reach out, how are you doing? Most people have been respectful of my time getting back on my feet. I came back home and I was sick, and now the whole house seems to be sick. I'm getting everybody. I'm just getting over it, and now I'm getting it to everybody else. So, um, as far as that goes, that's how I was received. They did come home. There was a little party for me, a pizza party. Kid's mom Heather and the kids had gotten together for me, welcome home sign, and that was really neat. Um, so that part was great. Another question you asked was, what were the thoughts of my journey? It's my son asked a different question than my daughter, who asked a different question than other people. It's everybody, I guess, just like everything else in life, has their own perspective on things, and the kids in my family did as well. So we've talked about it, and I think it was just something like anything else. Like, again, I've been away for two, excuse me, two extended. Gosh, I'm sorry, guys. Two extended job-related situations where I was away for a while, and that lasted longer than this did, actually. Um, so I guess maybe in their young lives they're not, I don't want to say used to it, but I think they're pretty resilient is the word I would use. And they had their mom, and their mom Heather's fantastic, and they didn't miss a beat as far as that goes. So um, we'll just pick right back up where we left off of. Gary also asked a few other questions. I'm doing a school presentation on Tuesday, and he had asked, how did that come to be? Is there fees involved, not fees involved? How do you plan on it happening, expected, and what's your expected versus actual? I don't know if he meant as far as the journey or the speaking engagement, but so I'm going to speak to a classroom of kids on Tuesday, and from what I understand, it was somebody that reached out to me on the journey, and she's already spoken to other teachers and said, yeah, we'd be interested in having them come speak to the whole school. So this was part of, along my journey, I had one of my little epiphanies where I said, hey, you know what, we can take this point to thumb message and really make change and do something bigger and better with it. And still working on the whole business aspect of it. This one here has no fee involved. It's just going out and talking to a bunch of kids and hoping to make change. But this is going to be kind of a, I'm gonna feel out, the reception, and part of my business plan of the Point to Thumb business is to take this into speaking engagements if that's possible. One of the other alternatives that was presented to me recently was taking Point to Thumb and making it a nonprofit organization. And then, another possibility, quite frankly, is, hey, throw in the towel and just go back to life and work your job. And not that I have one, although I'm excited about an interview on Friday. It's a really decent company with a good business I've been in before. So there's a lot going on. So this has no fees involved. I can't end it through somebody from the journey, but this is going to be as we get our feet wet. Some of you may or may not know, during my journey, I say way too much, but during my journey I had a vision, and I shared it, and I still believe in the vision. And the vision was essentially that I want to change the world however I can in my own little way, by sharing the Point to Thumb message. And how do I do that, but yet be able to provide for my family? Obviously, I wasn't able to provide for the 4 months I was gone, and it's something that I need to be dealing with. But so there's a whole plan involved. Now, part of the plan, what I always dreamed about was having a company where other people were involved with me. It wasn't about making money. I guess it was as a business, but it wasn't about me making the money or one or two people. So I had offered to a group of folks, I invited to a personal private phone call, an opportunity to be, for what a lot of people think is small in terms of investing in any kind of business, a small investment to become part of the business. And what that investment would have done would have allowed me to get back home and dive into the book and everything else as I'm doing and start getting the business up and running. Now, what does that business include? We're writing a book. I have a children's series out. I'm talking to the school district about on Tuesday. I have a novel already outlined and ready to go. I don't know how good any of this is going to be, quite frankly. It might be a fizzle out, but I don't think so. And of course, if we continue to get out there and spread the message, there's going to be increased traffic on our website and our Facebook page, and hopefully someday that turns into corporate advertising. Now, some of the things that we're working out the kinks of with that is that I had a few people that I thought were going to be on board with me and kind of hit the ground running, but as life takes over, everyone has their own lives and things, so I'm just kind of weeding through it. Now, it's funny, when I made that phone call, I probably invited about 60 to 70 people I'd met on the journey. I'm not sure how many people were on the call. I had a good amount of folks that said, in fact, I'm meeting a gentleman tonight that says I want in, and I've met a good amount of people that want to carry the message forth. But it wasn't ever about me trying to get the money. The concept was that if people put up their investment, it would allow me to come home and not have to worry about running out to get a job to take care of my family. When I took on this journey, I readily knew that I would be coming back to a pile of bills, and I'd have to deal with it. That's part of the story, frankly. That I think people, the after journey kind of bit, and so there's going to be a follow-up to that. So anyway, one of the emails I got from somebody was, Jim, I was really kind of put off at first when I heard your call, thinking, you were out for money. And then as I sat and thought about it, I realized that you weren't out for money at all. You were simply allowing us an opportunity to be a part of something big, and I really wish I could do it. And that email meant a lot, because I don't know how I come across to people, but it's not about, hey guys, give me money so I don't have to work. And I appreciate her sharing the thoughts with me. A, she was offended at first, but B, she came back around. So I hope I didn't offend anybody with that. If you're on the call, or you're on this video and you're on that call and you have any questions, you can reach out to me and ask me, and I'll be more than happy to share with you my mindset about the whole business. But enough about that for now. So before I wrap up, let me share something that I thought was special to me today. So as I've told you guys, I have this innate ability to how do I say, not just remember things, I relive memories. I can just close my eyes. I don't have to close my eyes. I could just think of something, and I could remember, being right there. And it's so weird. I don't know what it is about driving that gets my mind going, but it's not even, just a little bit after 7 o'clock. I'm not even sure the time on the TV there. Probably about 7:15 right now. But I've already got the kids off to the bus stops. And as I was driving down, talking with them, it's funny, in that time, I sat there, and I don't know what triggers these thoughts, but I relived my day with the Rices in outside of Hannah, Indiana. I don't know if they're Hannah or Valparaiso, but out that way, with Scott and Kelly and the family, and I was remembering what I had for breakfast that day, and Brooks and Sarah and their kids out in Oklahoma, along with Pam and Billy. I was just kind of driving, dropped the kids, just driving back home and just reliving, how I came to meet Pam and Billy, how I came to meet Brooks and Sarah out on the farm. It's really neat, and that's the kind of thing that's what this journey was about for me. No one can ever take those away from me. I don't know when I'm going to be driving down the road and that next thought hits, and who it's about and where it's about. And to that point, I get back home and turn on the TV to catch on the news, and there's an announcement about how the women have played such a large part in the recent elections, and how their numbers have grown in terms of running and being elected. And it brings me right back to Bob and Sue Rohn out of Scottsdale, Arizona. And Sue had a song. They turned me on to this artist named Kelly McGuire, a musical artist who they love and I love now. And a song that meant a lot to Sue was a song called "Woman Behind the Wheel." And right away, that clicks on me. In the car, I'm playing, and I play it and hearing it in my head right now. And this is what the journey was about for me. So I thank you guys for that, and I'm going to wrap up now. I'll do a second video right after this. I love you. Thanks for standing by me, for sharing so much. And if you have any questions about the business part of it or what my plans are, I'll be more than happy to share them. You can reach out to me on my website. My website's pttjourney.com, and anything else. So I love you guys. Have yourselves a great day out there.